Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now, before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions, as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And tonight we're discussing a draw. We're not discussing a defeat for once, which is great. We're live on YouTube, X and Facebook as always. I will have 3 very special guests with me tonight to discuss this game. Gareth is just getting ready. So we're discussing a draw, which is good. I mean, we'll get into the game, but let's just show some match facts and stats first. From the match tonight, we had Newcastle with 53% possession, Tottenham with 46.8%. XG of 1.96 for Newcastle, 0.79 for Spurs, 19 shots for Newcastle, 8 for Tottenham, 7 on target for Newcastle and 2 for Spurs. Touches inside the opposition box, 38 for Newcastle, 22 for Spurs. 0 goalkeeper saves for Aaron Ramsdale, 4 for Vicario. 21 aerial duels, 12 for Spurs, 5 fouls committed for Newcastle, 12 for Spurs, 11 corners for Newcastle and 8 for Tottenham. So all that means, I'll just get the league table up here. Spurs are in 11th place on 19 points. So we leapfrogged Brentford, which is good. So we've climbed the table a little bit. Not the best performance tonight, but we stopped the rot. We got a draw. So without any further ado, we have 2 guests. Oh, no, here's Gareth as well. Welcome, Gareth, to the chat. Ricky, how you doing?
Always good to be on with you, lovely gentlemen, and all you beautiful people around the world. So win, lose or draw, we're here. We're going to jump in. We're going to jump into it. We're going to dissect it and hopefully pull out some of the good things as well as the bad. But we're here, at least, like you said there, we stopped the rot tonight. So we're not talking about a loss, but still plenty to discuss. So really happy to be here with you boys, and let's get into it, and hopefully we can get a few giggles out of these lot.
It'd be nice to smile for once, wouldn't it? On one of these.
You know what I mean? We've got to laugh at something, Craig. Cheering.
We have, mate. We have. Gary, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Really good. I probably would have been absolutely raging if we'd lost that game. I don't think for a second we played well. I don't think Newcastle were that great either. But, yeah, I think we've just got to spend a good 15 minutes talking about VAR, man, because that was horrendous. But, yeah, I'm all good, buddy. Good.
And Gareth, how are you?
All good. All good, Craig.
That's
it. All good, Craig. Look, take the positives out of it. It's a good result. Would have taken the point before the game. I think you're right, Craig. We spoke just after the game, and Gary's right. We didn't play well. I think 2 shots on target, 2 goals. If you bear in mind, Romero's the centre half, scored 2 goals. Great header, the first one. The second one, he kind of shins. Great attempt, but he shins it on, doesn't he? And maybe we deserved a wee bit of good luck because of, as Gary pointed out, the penalty. But that is a disappointing thing. We probably hit Newcastle on a good night. Probably one of their worst home performances. Yes, they were decent at times, but they never really hit the levels that we've seen them at times this season. So we needed a result, and we've got one. But it's all about building from here. I'm sure we'll get into it. But yeah, great to be on again. But much better feeling tonight than I had last night when we were previewing the game.
No, it could have been worse. It could have been worse, which we'll definitely get into. Ricky, what's your overall thoughts on the game tonight?
Oh, mate, it was another confusing one. It was another frustrating one. For me, I still don't know what Frank Ball is. I'm getting kind of tired of adapting to the opponent. You know, if we adapt to an opponent every single time we play them, then who are we? you know, and I think that yes, there's a balance there, but I don't think we've got that. You know, for 35 minutes of that first half, we didn't do absolutely nothing, Craig, and it felt like we was waiting for them to score, and we was waiting for them. It just felt inevitable that they were going to score at some point. And then for 10 minutes at the end of that first half, we started to play some ball. We started to get the ball forward, and there was a bit of thrust there. There were some positives. Bergvall, I think, was a positive. I felt Maloney, even though he didn't get much, he was coming back deep to pick up the ball. He was trying to make things happen. You know, Sarr. I'm a big fan of Sarr and what he brings to the table. You know, energy, box of tricks, and stuff like. Yeah, I say a box of energy, but more than anything. But I just don't know, mate. I just don't know. It just felt like. I don't know whether I've still got the hangover of Chelsea and the Gooners and Fulham, you know, not so much PSG, but I don't know whether I've got the hangover of that right now in my soul, and that's what I'm seeing. I think we was fortunate to come away from a draw. I know, you know, Gaz wants to spend some time talking about VAR, but look, it was never a penalty tonight. But at the same time, I don't think that we at that stage. They could have been 2-3 goals up if they wanted. Like both of the gents have said, they were playing in first gear tonight and they were there for the taking, but we offered nothing for so long. It was good to see a bit of a response in the second half. And it was good to see that fight and character come back into their play to bring it up to 2-2. But we were lucky. That was 2 shots on goal and we scored from both of them. And yes, that's 100% conversion rate, but at the same time, I don't know, mate. Even though it's a draw, I still have a bit of a negative with it. I just there's the energy I'm getting around it. It's good to steady the ship, positive wise. It's good to stop the rot. It's good to see some character from the boys, but we didn't really play football. And I believe that this squad is capable of so much more in a footballing style way. I think that we can play so much better. I do believe in a lot of these players, and yes, there's some that need bedding in. Yes, there's some, but I look at some of these tactics, and even when we was in the ascendancy and we was on our attacking 5-10 minutes, we was passing the ball forward. There would always be an option for an overlap and to continue that momentum, and we would always turn it backwards and go back into midfield and stop the momentum, and then end up passing it back to Vicario, and then we start the move again, and I'm just like. There's so many missed opportunities tonight, you know, whether that was a shot or a ball over the top, and players just felt to take the safer option. It almost feels, and maybe this is an extreme from me, and maybe this is, like I say, the hangover that I've got from the last week or so, the last couple of weeks, but it almost feels as if we're playing relegation style football right now. Like, we're going into the game as underdogs. Everybody believes that whoever we play, that they're going to win. And then we get 2 good goals, but lucky goals from our defender, not from an attacking, you know, piece of magic, but from our defender. And we get away with a point. And now we're looking at that and we're holding on to that positive and hoping that they build on it. It's so... My emotions are very confused right now, Craig. At the same time as that, I'm like, okay, I saw some character. They got back into the game. They made it 2-2, and they've stopped the rot. Like, maybe they can push on from this. I've still got this negative side of me that's looking at it, and I'm just like, I still don't know whether this is going to work footballing wise. The free kicks, the throw-ons, the set pieces, they were supposed to be an addition to our play. That wasn't supposed to be the game plan from start. Like, let's play for these things, and that's how we're going to win, or that's how we're going to score, or that's how we're going to get through this game. It was supposed to be an addition to the football, and I'm not seeing enough of the football, bro. And I'm just in so much conflict right now. Because I'm tired of rebuilds. I am. I'm tired of new managers. I am. But I've seen this script before, bro. And I just don't know. It's not inspiring me. It's just not inspiring me. At this point in time, I've got nothing to hold on to inspire me to back what Frank is putting on the table right now, especially in adversity. this is where you see the mettle of everyone, our players, our manager, our coaching staff. And I just don't see enough to go, all right, and cool. I can have belief in what you're saying and what you're doing and what you're producing. I just don't know where I am right now with it, Craig. I just keep going back and forth and all over the shop. And I just don't. I don't want to be a negative guy. I don't want to look at tonight as a negative. You know, we got a point. It is a positive. It's hard going up to Newcastle. We've been beat by Newcastle many a time. We've been turned over by them with their pace and their power and their bullying. But, mate, I just feel... I just don't know where we go.
Ricky, sorry to jump on, but no, I can understand how you feel because... no, I can understand how you feel, but it's only a quick question. There's nothing that you've seen in tonight's performance gives you any confidence for Saturday, does it?
No,
we can go and win the game.
The only thing that we've been consistent in is getting 0.0 whatever number, a potential XG. That's the only thing that I've seen that's been consistent. You know, not getting a shot off on target in the first half or in the first 60, 70 minutes. It's the only thing that I see that's consistent. And Gareth, right now, I look, man, you know, those first 10 games of Ange, I got blown away by. I was like, oh my goodness, right? And that gave me enough to hold on to and give him credit and go, do you know what? Look at all the excuses. Do you know what I mean? You know, look at the injuries and look at Levy and look at the transfer window and look at Kane and Sonny and look at all of these things. Yeah, because I could see a vision. I could see where we was going and it was all about us. We let the opposition worry about us, and we had our game plan to our detriment or to our success. You know, we had our game plan, and I can hold on to that. But right now, 4 months into the season with a pre-season, I am so confused, and I have nothing to hold on to kind of go, Frank's the man, and this is what we're going to see. Right now, I just feel confused, and if I feel confused, and if fans out there feel confused, then do the players feel confused about what they're doing right now? Where's the energy at, you know? So I don't know. I don't know, mate. I don't know, Gareth. I don't know, Gaz. I don't know, Craig. I just feel in a really weird place right now because as much as I would love to give this guy time, part of me goes, what are we giving? What are we giving the time for? At least with Poch, I could see what we're giving time for. With Redknapp, I could see what we was giving time for. Even under Conte, I can understand the plan that we were going for at that point. Now, we didn't give him the tools, and we didn't, you know, and we had our own faults at that point. But at least whether I agreed with it or not, at least I knew what we were going for under Conte. I still don't know what I still don't know what the plan is under this guy. You know, I see adaptation, I see different formations. But I don't see anything that I go, it's clicking, it's working, or the players believe in this, or, you know, I see character from them because we do have a bunch of players that do have character. They have stood up to adversity. They have gone through rough patches. And yes, now we're seeing a lot of finger pointing. But the manager started to finger point. The manager started to talk about 17th last season. Well, hold tight, my friend. You've had a preseason and you're 4 months into your reign. Why are you talking about last season? Last season, we didn't have a defence. We had one defender for I don't know how long. We had 4 different goalkeepers last season. You've had Vicario in there, and you've pretty much had the back 4 barring suspension. So, plus a Paulinho, plus a Kudus, plus a Xavi, you know, money being spent.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I just don't know where I'm so confused of where I am right now and how I feel about this side.
And you could also point out, Ricky, as well. You could also point out as well. I'll let Craig obviously ask the questions again, but it was a good time to take over Spurs. They just won the Europa League. The fans were like in a good place. You weren't coming into a group that was like the fans were like negative. Everyone was like positive going into the season because we got that monkey off our back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We all wanted to kick on, right? This is what this should be.
Yeah.
This is why we sacked, you know, Andrew got the sack. It was because we wanted to kick on, you know?
Totally. Sorry, just jumping in there, Rick. I totally agree with everything you've said, mate. Honestly, totally, because I feel conflicted as well. And I think, where's this comment gone? This is such a great comment. Come around to you, Gary, actually. Give us your thoughts on the game. But I think this is spot on by Lady, where it feels like every game we're hanging on by a thread. It's not a good feeling. I agree with that. and what Ricky said, yeah, it's a good point. If you're looking at it as a point tonight, that's
it is.
good.
Look, I've got to. I mean, I expect us to lose tonight, right? I thought we're going to lose 3-1 easily. So you've got to I've got to be like a bit more positive because Ricky, I don't think I've ever seen you so down with Tottenham. It's mental, and Gareth, and I know how you feel, and Craig. But listen, I think it was a bad performance first half. The second half wasn't much better. We rode our luck. You could probably say Bergvall had quite a good game. Kudos wasn't too bad. Romero had some fight. The only positives I could take from it is, we haven't lost, and if the officials got their jobs right, then we would have actually won the game, and Romero would have scored the winner. Would it make any difference to the team performance? No, but we would have got 3 points on the road, and it would have been a big 3 points at Newcastle, right? I know a lot of Tottenham fans are going to be looking and thinking, well, this is just prolongs the agony, and it keeps Thomas Frank in a job for longer. Yeah, you're right. Do I think we're going to beat Brentford on Saturday? Probably not. But I do feel we probably should have won that game tonight, only because of that penalty decision, which was ridiculous. And I know Newcastle hit the penalty, but at the end of the day, when you're scoring that late on, that could have and should have been the winner. So, look, I think probably every single Tottenham fan thought we'd go up there and get hammered, right? There's always a lot of goals when we play Newcastle home or away. I'm normally quite positive with results, but even I said, look, we're going to get done 3 or 4-1 tonight. So if you look at it like that, yeah, the performance crap. We've had 2 shots on target and we scored 2 goals. Let's be real. Newcastle weren't great. They're at home, right? They've got the best home fans apparently behind them. They didn't play great football either. Let's be honest about it. We are in a crisis at the moment, right? We've had a few terrible results. I was at the North London derby. It was horrendous. Vicario had a stinker at Fulham. I felt he played all right tonight. And we've come away with a point when really we should have come away with a win. Because you mark my words, tomorrow when we get ref watch at 11 o'clock, 96% are going to say no penalty. And I know that's only painting over the cracks and everything else, but you can only say and see what's in front of you. And going by that game, we should have won it on that decision. So overall, I'm going to go to bed tonight fairly happy. It's a game that I never ever thought we'd get anything from. So I'm feeling all right. Do I think Frank's going to be the manager by the end of the year? No, I don't. Do I think we're going to turn up and play great against Brentford? No, I don't. But I think tonight we were as good as Newcastle, and we probably deserved to win because that penalty decision was a fucking joke, an absolute fucking joke. I've never seen anything so ridiculous. It was so bad that even when the ref went over to the screen, I still thought he was going to say no pen. And that has happened. Not very often, but it has happened. It happened once against us. But yeah, that's how I feel. So I'm fairly positive, but I don't think Thomas Frank is the man to bring us forward. But listen, you sack Frank. Who the hell do you bring in, man? I just don't know, And whoever you bring in, you've got the same players. Would they maybe, I don't know, look, the argument could be if you'd have kept Ange, would we be in a better position or worse position? I can't answer that. I was one of the few fans that wanted to keep him until Christmas, New Year, but here we are. What I will say is I thought we was going to get absolutely hammered tonight. I genuinely did, and we didn't. So for that, I'm fairly positive.
No, I totally understand what you were saying. They're going to make some really good points there. We come away with a point. I think that's all we can take from that game because.
Yeah, but guys, the fact that
go, Rick.
Go, mate.
Go on, Ricky.
So I think I'm out of time. I'm going to come out and come back in.
Oh, okay, mate. All right. Let's go, Gareth. Let's come around to you on the starting lineup. Obviously, Spurs, Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Danzo, Udogi, Bentancur, Sarr, Kudus, Bergvall, Johnson, and Calamani up front. I suppose. Well, I know what you're going to say about a big surprise. What did you make of that lineup? What were the surprises for you?
Well, I'll start on a positive. I liked the midfield. I thought that Bentancur, Sarr, and Bergvall is probably our best midfield, I think, for a game like Newcastle. The big surprise that you obviously mentioned there was Van de Ven being left out. Strange enough decision, but when you think about listening to Thomas Frank pre-match, and I can kind of understand it from his point of view of, if Van de Ven's had injury problems in the past with his hamstring, if we lose Van de Ven for an extended period of time, it's obviously not good for the club, but it's probably not good for Thomas Frank, because if it wasn't for Van de Ven on Saturday, we probably would have been 3 or 4-0 down in the first half. Let's be honest, he saved us at least one goal-saving tackle and potentially a second goal-saving tackle with the first one before that. So he rolled the dice. And Craig, we spoke about this last night for anyone that didn't see the preview of the game. We kind of all felt that unless we were absolutely humiliated tonight, Thomas Frank would still be the manager against Brentford on Saturday. It's not to say that he had a free pass, but like Gareth says and like Ricky says, nobody really expected Spurs to get a result tonight. So I kind of think that Thomas Frank maybe had that in the back of his head, that let's keep Van de Ven fresh for Saturday, because whatever way you look at it, he probably is our most important player. There's nobody up front scoring that many goals that's that important, that if we lost him, it would be a disaster. He's chopping and changing the midfield. The three positions that are kind of nailed down is Vicario, Romero, and Van de Ven. So you could argue they're the three most important players to Thomas Frank at the moment. So in a way, when you think about it, he probably banked on, if he had a play tonight, of course anyone can get injured in training or anything like that, but he probably thought that let's get a fresh Van de Ven for Saturday, because maybe Thomas Frank, judging by his press conference, he probably expected us to struggle tonight, and he'll be very happy we got a point. Of course, I'm sure you'll bring up some of the quotes, Craig, in a minute, but about the penalty, which Gary spoke about, but he'll probably use that as a reason why we didn't win the game. Because as Gary says, if we're dealing in complete absolutes, then technically the penalty costs us 3 points. But I can't agree more with Ricky in terms of, if he watched the overall game, it would have been very harsh if Newcastle had lost that game.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is with the penalty, obviously, I get what Gary was saying about the penalty, and we would have gone on to win it. Obviously, the ball would have been in a completely different spot. It would have been a completely different, the play would have started in a different position. Yeah. So I totally get what Gary means, though. Ricky,
Craig, that's why I'm saying if you're dealing in absolutes, yes, but we know football, and there's a good chance if that penalty wasn't given, we would have been probably hanging on for dear life for the 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I agree. Ricky,
you're right. Do you know
what did you make of the lineup, Rick? Sorry, Gal, I'll come to you in a minute.
For me, I was kind of happy just to kind of get back to what looked like a normal formation for a minute. Yes, the 2-2-2 has been an experiment, and there's been positives and negatives with it. But to have, like Gareth was saying there, to have Bentancur, but then Sarr and Bergvall in there. Sarr and Bergvall giving you energy, and Bergvall giving you somebody who wants to break the lines, who wants to do something. And yes, it took him a little minute to warm up today, but his intention is to make something happen. And he will be one of those players that you want to go and watch, because he will be that guy as soon as he matures. And it takes time. It does take time. There's very few footballers out there that mature at the age that he is right now, and are there at their absolute peak, but you can see what he's doing. For me, I would have put Paulinho today, just because Newcastle have a very strong midfield, and I thought that his just defensive solidity and covering of the back four, I thought that would have been the way forward tonight against Newcastle. I totally get the Van de Ven rotation because of those hamstrings and how important he really is to us. And then to see Johnson as well on the left. Johnson again, a top goal scorer from last year, and I think he scored from the left-hand side for Wales as well. So you kind of go, where we haven't got a certified left winger right now that's doing anything to the point of giving us more than a 0.0 something XG per game, then you might as well give Johnson a go for a little bit, because at least he'll probably make a run and get a shot off. So to see him start, I wanted to see that tonight on that left-hand side. Positives and negatives with his game tonight, but at the same time, I think that it was right for him to come in. And then to see Kolo and Kudus in there, I was like, okay, cool. That's what I was hoping to see. But you know what? Like what I was going to say to Gaz and to Gareth tonight, that collective idea that we shouldn't get nothing at Newcastle or that we're going to lose at Newcastle is the problem, I feel, right? That's the problem right now. That what we've seen so far gives us the gut reaction that whoever we go up against, we're going to lose. I swear one of you's already said that Brentford will probably lose that game. I swear I've heard that already tonight.
I reckon we will lose it, yeah.
This is what I'm saying. So what belief, if we as fans are sitting here and we're looking at the football from an outsider's perspective, there's those that are fortunate enough and lucky enough like Chris that gets to go and see it. I say lucky, but you know what I mean. Even win, lose or draw, to be able to see your team and to be able to support them week in, week out is a beautiful thing to be able to do. And you look at it and you kind of go, if you're leaving that impression on us, then what impression are you leaving on the boys? Do you know what I mean? The players right there. Do they have an inbuilt excuse to be like, oh, it was great that we got a point tonight? I like to see my team, delusional or not, to go out and go out to win a game. Do you know what I mean? I want us to go and put our best foot forward, and regardless of what type of team we've had, and we've had some mixed teams over the years. We haven't always had a star-studded lineup. You know, we've had mixed teams. We've had players that should never have worn our tops in the past. You know, but we've still got some performances out of them, or we've still got some effort, or we've still got something out of them where we've got something out of the game. Now it feels like Craig said the other week, that it felt like watching Spurs back in the 90s. This is what I'm saying about the style of football right now. The style of football is leaving an impression of relegation football on me. If it's leaving that impression after how many games? 13, 14 games now, whatever it's been. That's the impression I'm getting from the style of play. And we haven't even hit Christmas yet. And if you're getting that feeling now, then what are the players feeling? How do you break that? Because I've rarely seen us play the football. I saw us play some football against PSG, all right, Super Cup. I saw us play some football against a different formation and a different style of football against Burnley. Then I saw a different game plan against Man City. And ever since then, I don't know what's happened, but we've been so Jekyll and Hyde. Even games that we should have quote unquote won, Villarreal, you know, like the draws that Bodo Glint. I look at these, you know, I look and I go, what's going on here? Bodo Glint, he was outclassed. They should have won 7-0. You know, I look at the efforts against Wolves, against Bournemouth.
Monaco as well. Monaco should have been an absolute battering session.
Monaco was a battering.
Terrible that was.
And they should have won, and this is no kind of, they should have won 10-0. I'm serious. They should have won 10-0. The way that they dismantled us at every single try. And then you go, all right, and cool. And then we get the Chelsea game. You're like, what? What's going on here? Where we couldn't even throw a jab, but we couldn't even lift our arm to pretend like we was going to throw a jab. We couldn't even flinch, let alone do anything else. And you go, all right, and cool. Okay, cool. You've got to learn from that. You've got that 21-year-old uni student who was an analyst at Brentford that's now at Tottenham, that sits in there, that's got all the clips, this, that, and the other. You've got all of these analysts. You've got these coaches that are coming in that know what to do in a struggle with all these formations and all these different plans and all these different phases of play. And you go, all right, and fine. And then we come up against the Gooners, and what? And then you speak in the press conference before, and you go, no, we're going to go on the front foot. I want us to play high pressing, high attacking football. We want to do this. We're not going to play for a 0-0. We're not going to do that. We're not here to frustrate. We're not here to waste time. What are you talking about, Frank? And then we see what we see. So words, actions, what's going on the pitch? I'm so confused about what I'm seeing right now, man. I don't know where to go with it. I always want to back my team. I've been on here delusional at times. I've been cussed out for being overly positive. I was on here last year when we played Liverpool, and it was a 5-3 game, and at 4-1. I came on, and the first thing that I said is that I'm proud of those boys for keeping going and kept fighting up until the end. We brought it to 4-3, and it was only because we was pushing for that extra goal to make it 4-4 that they scored, Liverpool, to make it 5-3. Okay, so but I was proud of that performance. I was proud of that Chelsea performance when we went down to 9 men, but we still played our game. All right, all right. It might have been suicidal, but you know what? We was like, nah, we're gonna play it. We're gonna show them, and we were that close from getting something out of that game. I look at tonight, and I look at these last couple of, this start of the season as a whole, and I look back and I just go, I don't know what to hold on to, gents. I really don't. I don't know what to hold on to. I don't know what makes me go.
Ricky,
go on, Gareth.
Ricky, me and my dad watched the game tonight, of course, and we kind of spoke about it. It's alarming the number of games, and it was up until about 37 or 38 minutes tonight. They put a stat up about 5 minutes before on Sky that it would have been our 4th game had we not got a shot on target in the first half for 4 straight Premier League games. And I turned to my dad at that time, and a couple of minutes after, it was very much new. And listen, Newcastle were nowhere near their best tonight. And
nowhere near.
It almost, and I've never seen a team in the Premier League look so out of their depth. It's almost like they're not good enough to play in the league because they just can't get a grip. Every time we try to play forward, we were pressed. Every time Newcastle played forward, look, it was so easy. And I think that's one of the biggest concerns at the minute, Craig, is that we at the minute look like we can't compete when we try to play football on a football pitch. And I think that's the biggest worry. And Ricky's such a positive Spurs fan. So it's the fact that he's the way he is tonight tells you everything about where we are at the minute, that it's such a struggle to compete in games. We just seem so pushed back. We have no idea to get forward, and it's a lot of the stuff we spoke about in the last few weeks. But I just think it's a major concern that a team that we know won the Europa League last year, and plus, as Ricky says, have added Kudos, has added Polina, he's got a fully fit back 4, a goalkeeper that's not been injured. And we look so much worse. So I think that is a major concern. And yes, it's a great result tonight, but Saturday's massive. There's nothing in tonight's performance that gives you any hope that we can go and beat Brentford convincingly. Because as much as we all want to win games, and we'd all take a 2-1 or 1-0 against Brentford on Saturday, of course we would. But I think the Spurs fans are searching for a performance that they can back the manager. Nobody wants to come on here and be disrespectful to Thomas Frank, criticise the manager, but we're struggling to hang on to anything that we're seeing on the pitch. We need to see something in the game on Saturday that we can get behind. And look, we'd all 4 of us would love to get behind Thomas Frank, but we need to see something. We can't just believe for the sake of, it's almost like believing in something that doesn't exist. You have to have something in front of you that you can get behind.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on, Gareth. Obviously, there's a few people saying we're being negative. I think we're just saying what a lot of Spurs fans think. And that's what makes football good. It's subjective. We all got our own opinions, and I think sometimes people get annoyed because you don't share what they think. Your opinions aren't the same as theirs, which is just human nature. And
well, Craig, sorry. If the game had a finish 1-1, penalty didn't happen, and Romero didn't have the equaliser, what would have been people's thoughts of the game? What would they have?
Terrible.
What would they have said?
It was a dreadful game, and we'll come. In fact, let's come on to the match incidents. I mean, I've written a few things down here from the first half. Gary, just come around to you on this. I'm just going to read out really what happened in the first half, because it was pretty much mostly Newcastle and Spurs defending to a degree. 4th minute, Lewis Hall shoots wide for Newcastle. 7th minute, Porro, stupid back heel, nearly lets in Newcastle, but we managed to clear it. I mean, I don't know what he was doing there. No. 17th minute, Miley forces Vicario into a save. Again, I agree with what I think it was one of you said Vicario played, but I thought he was good against him.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Good to hear the Spurs fans giving him a bit of support as well, which is nice to see. 31 minutes. I've written down in Newcastle in control. Spurs haven't laid a glove on them. Gary, is that fair?
Yeah, it's totally fair. We had no ideas. We were lost first half. We looked terrible. And I think we were all just waiting for Newcastle to score. That's all it was. You know, I didn't see anything. There's no like really sort of system, nothing. There was nothing whatsoever. I thought Johnson was non-existent all game anyway. There was not really anything happening, mate. First half was really bad. And I remember looking at my boy thinking, do you know what? Like, it's a result. We're 0-0 at half-time. And that was the only positive I could take from the first half, that we wasn't behind. But that's where we are now, unfortunately, you know. Like, that's where we are with games. Do you know what I mean? We're 2-0 down for 5 minutes at home to Fulham. So if you're going, I remember looking and saying, God, we've lasted 20 minutes here, because I didn't think we would last 20, 30 minutes. I genuinely didn't, you know.
It comes back to, Gary, though, for me, Newcastle have always been fast out the blocks. I've been like you saying, Bolt out the blocks against us before. And tonight they were off it. And I don't think we earned the draw because we were particularly good. I think Newcastle just was probably the worst performance I've seen them play against us in a long time. That's not me being negative. I think that's a fair comment.
No, you're right. I don't think Newcastle were that much better than us. Like, obviously, they were slightly better. You know, we did one off the line, didn't we? And they hit the post and stuff. But there wasn't a lot from them, like what you normally see. You know, normally like the ground is proper rocking and that. And I don't know. I mean, you know, it's a bit of a cold, wet, miserable Tuesday night, so maybe that's why. But yeah, it just didn't really have the kind of feel that it normally does for a Newcastle away game. And I expected the worst, you know. So that's why I'm not positive. Like, I've looked at that game and it's ended and I'm thinking, I've seen loads of positives out of that game and I can see us moving forward with Frank in the place. I'm just positive because we didn't lose it. That's how I am. Because I'm looking at a game that I watched there thinking, okay, we probably didn't deserve much out of the game. Certainly didn't deserve to win it. But we're going to lose to an absolutely horrific decision, and that would have felt worse. I don't mind just losing when we lose. Listen, we're poor against Fulham. We were absolutely useless against Arsenal. You just accept it. But if we had have lost that tonight to that decision, and the argument could be, well, you know, they hit the post and there was one off the line. I get that, but they didn't score with those. If that would have been their winning goal, I would have been a lot more down than what I am now. So whether it was his shin or whatever, he's still done an overhead kick for me. And, you know, he was one of the few players that had a bit of fight there. So I come away from it feeling all right. But that first half, I didn't even think we would even have 2 shots on target, really, let alone 2 goals. You know, that's how I was feeling. It was up until the last few minutes of the first half, there was nothing. It was very, very bad, you know.
No, you're right, and you know, we didn't have a shot on target in the first half. I mean, 35th minute, Joey Linton. Joey Linton hit the post. You're right, that's the one you was talking about, Gary. Yeah. And he hits the post from a very tight angle. 37 minutes was a bit of a bright spot. We did come back into it a little bit. Kudus crosses to Bergvall, flicked over. Very unlucky. I thought Bergvall was really good tonight. Actually, I was disappointed that he was taken off, but he was absolutely running to the ground. He was one of the players that didn't go in.
It was literally just slightly over the crossbar. It was. I didn't even see that flick coming. I didn't even see it coming. You know.
Well, it was literally against the run of play, wasn't it? And we got up there and absolutely really unlucky for Bergvall. But 44th minute, Barnes deflected shot wide, but offside. Spurs best spell of the game, though, as I say, and a really good half for Bergvall. But Spurs 0 shots on target, as I say again, fourth game in a row. Last shot on target in the first half was on 1st of November, if you can believe that. And Tottenham have failed to score in the first half in 5 consecutive games for the first time since March 2024, when it was 6. So then we get to half time. Gareth, were you expecting any changes at half time, or do you think Frank was quite happy to get in at 0-0?
I think Frank was as one of those managers where when he was probably happy with the result at half time at 0-0. He never made a change until Newcastle scored. And I don't know if he would have made one if it had stayed 0-0 for longer. I think it's a good point you made about Bergvall, Craig. Me and my dad were actually speaking about this. I think in the first 20 minutes, I don't think Bergvall actually touched the ball, but he came alive. And I thought he'd done really well when he had the ball. But I think that's one of the main issues that we have, Craig. Bergville is a player that needs a baldy feet, needs to be on the ball. Long balls forward is not going to get the best out of Bergville. And you've seen tonight, I think Carragher says Spurs have come alive here in the last few minutes because of Lucas Bergville. He had a couple of moments, and then, of course, he had the flick just over the bar. But he got on it more in the second half because we have more possession. So you're not going to get the best out of Bergville if you haven't got the tactics they play to his strengths. So, yeah, changes at halftime. I would have made a couple, but I wasn't surprised that the manager didn't make any. And I thought the biggest change in the game was Newcastle bringing on Bruno Guimaraes because they looked a better team when he was on the pitch. He looked like he could see things that our players couldn't see. Of course, he scored a great goal, which to speak about, but I think before that there was a pass in behind from a corner. And although Newcastle were off it tonight, whenever they had the ball, Craig, there was one corner we had where Ramsey had caught the ball, and within 2 passes, Gordon was running at Porro, about 20 yards from goal. So when they had a plan, you could see, although they were off it, they still had a lot more about them, and they looked more likely to score the goal. So I think when Bruno Guimaraes did score the goal, don't think it was a big surprise to anyone that Newcastle were in front because they always did seem the more likely to score the goal.
Yeah. Well, I think the one you're talking about, Harvey Barnes produced a goal, a good save, from Vicario, and then Danzo cleared off the line from Baltimore. Right threat in the air. That I think it was good to see Danzo getting back on the line, which of course nobody did for the Fulham goal at the weekend. No. So that was good. He was
well done, really,
he did and really positioned himself well. 55th minute, Barnes fired a shot in and it hit Bergvall. 65th minute, Livramento, thunderous shot cleared off the line by Johnson. Again, Johnson in the right place at the right time. That was a really good strike by Livramento, actually. I think that's from a corner. And then coming out to you, Rick, 70th minute, as Gareth mentioned, Bruno Guimaraes, and I think the introduction of him and Anthony Gordon really changed Newcastle for the better for them, sadly. Talk us through this goal, this 70 minutes, Bruno Guimaraes, really good strike. You're on mute, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, he got the time and space for him to get off a lovely strike as per usual. It seems to be that way for us recently, that we concede kind of worldy strikes. And again, coming back to the tactics board for Frank, the one thing that we've seen him kind of display is that it's highly unlikely to score from outside the box or to be making those runs from the outside the box, but yet we've conceded a ton of those so far. So it was just another quality goal from another quality player, Craig, to be fair. But there at least there was a response there, pretty much straight away there was a response from the boys. And like I say, that it was good to see a bit of character and a bit of them, a bit of their kind of fight and them willing to stand up, tonight, and not have it and not just kind of lay back and take it all. So quality strike.
Yeah, showed a bit of character again. But again, Gareth, before I come around to Gary, Gareth, on this Bruno Guimaraes goal, tactically, I've seen this a couple of times from Spurs where we're not picking up the man on the edge of the box. Is that a coach thing, or is that player switching off, or what do you think it is? Because we've seen a few of these now.
Do you know, it's not dissimilar to the goal we conceded last year there. Remember Harvey Barnes scored from a very similar position. They put them 1-0 up. Newcastle had only won the game 2-1. So, of course, that's off 2 different coaches, 2 different setups. I've been concerned with the lack of pressing from the box when a player has a shot. But I think in this instance, because it's a counter-attack, everything kind of goes out the window in terms of how you set up, because we were at one end of the pitch, lost the ball, and, of course, counter-attack. And we were in trouble. I think the biggest issue here, tactically, was Porro got too tight to Gordon. Porro had played 70 minutes, and Anthony Gordon was just on. And I kind of turned to my dad and says, Anthony Gordon coming on now, he's going to give us problems here because he's fresh, he's quick, and if he gets an opportunity, he's very, very clinical. I think that was the biggest mistake. And if you look at it from where we could be prevented the goal, it was probably there, because Porro just gets in a yard too tight and Gordon goes past him, and then you're in big trouble when you're right back's out of the game. Danzo does what he probably can do and just tries to get a touch on the ball. And not to overanalyze it, it's an unbelievable finish. Let's not take anything away from Bruno Guimaraes. They put it where. What's up?
Okay.
Oh, you're back.
Sorry. Just to say, it's an unbelievable finish as well from Bruno Guimaraes. Just they put it in the corner first time. So the biggest issue there, coaching wise, Craig, is Pedro Porro getting too tight to his man and getting done down the right hand side. Danzo does well to get a touch on the ball, but take nothing away from Bruno Guimaraes. It's a brilliant finish.
Yeah, I had it just as a really good finish from a really good player, to be honest with you. And I don't think Vicario could have done much about it, to be honest. Gary, coming round to you, 75th minute, Miley forces Vicario into another save. 77 minutes, Javi, Richarlison and Tell come on for Johnson, Bergvall and Kolo Muani. Just briefly we've discussed Bergvall. We haven't really talked about Johnson or Kolo Muani, Gary. What did you make of both those players tonight?
I thought Maloney wasn't too bad. I thought there were spells where he was running at them. He seemed to, sort of be up for it and go for it. But I was fairly happy with him. But Johnson, not so much. There was a few situations. There was one. I think it was Bergvall played a lovely ball in, crossed it across the front of the box, and Johnson, he just needed to make the run. And I don't know why. He didn't make the run. He was just sort of standing there. He was like a few yards back. And I looked at that and I thought, if he'd have ran for that, he would have had a tap in. So I don't know why he's not kind of like, predicting that and just making the run. I don't know. Look, they're all low on confidence, these players, right? Johnson, he's in the teams, out the team, stuff like that. Maybe you could say it's a confidence thing. Maybe he's a bit rusty. I don't know. But Johnson last season was a bit like Gary Lineker for Spurs. He just get them tap-ins all the time. If there's anyone that's going to get onto them little fucking cross balls across the front of the goal, you think it would be Johnson. But I don't think Johnson had a very good game tonight. I wasn't very happy with him, if I'm honest with you. So yeah,
he looks lost. No. He looks lost on that left side too. He's always played on the right-hand side, doesn't he?
Well, I think that's a good point, actually, because it's the instinct to get in, the one Gary was talking about. I think if that had been on the right, he would have been in there.
He might have done it.
Because
Bergvall crossed that ball. I wasn't sure if it was or not.
It was Johnson, Bergvall crossed it. Yeah, it was.
Bergvall, because I thought it was a great little bit of play there, and he's whipped it in, and it was just begging for someone to tap that in. And Johnson, you think in that situation, like you can understand Richarlison's not there or he misses it or whatever, but Johnson, you think that's his bread and butter, isn't it? But
there was also a couple of times when Kudus, we know how he's going to cross and we know roughly what area he's going to cross, back stick, and the amount of times that Johnson wasn't there for that. But there were times, you've got to think about how many times in this game that we actually had periods of play. We had 10 minutes in the first half, where we had period of play. And then we had spells in that second half, right? So the amount of times that the ball went up to him, or it's easy for him to be in and out of that game. There was another point, though, as well, where he could have taken a shot. There was a point where we had a great move, and it went across the box, and he could have just shot it first time, but he ended up passing it out to Kudus. And then we recycled the ball and then tried to get a cross in, and it was just like the momentum was gone. So again, I don't know whether that gives evidence to your point there, Gaz, that low on confidence. But at the same time, low on confidence. I know it's a confidence game, right? But you can only play your way out. Ask Gareth, the coach. You can only play your way out.
Yes.
Of that confidence, drop or that lack of confidence. And then it takes some inspiration. So Bergvall gave some inspiration on the field tonight. I don't know whether the coach gave anybody inspiration. I don't know that. That's what conflicts me right now. Because I look at certain players and I go, we can get more out of them. Like you said, Johnson, all right, a bit like Gary Lineker, he didn't do much, but he popped up and he got important goals last year, including the winner in the Europa League final. However scrappy that was.
He was there, wasn't he?
So he was
there.
That's right. There is more in this squad, but it comes down to patterns of play and the tactics and what is being asked of these players and how to recycle this ball. there was so many times that we was in the ascendancy and Johnson had an overlap or he made a run and that ball was not chipped to him. It wasn't risked. You know, another one of Frank's words, risk. If you don't take risk, you're taking a risk. Well, I don't see no risk being taken where we can get in behind. Or, you know, when Xavi came on, we had a couple of those balls and we had a couple of those moments. But again, it's just like I don't know what the plan is right now, guys. You know, I just don't know what the plan is. So you are somebody because what's working on that left hand side? Odegaard, great dribbler, and you can see that he needs maturing, and he's not the finished article yet. But you can tell that there's something in there. Tell in and out of the side. We don't know what's happening with him at times. Johnson hasn't played for so long, but yet he plays tonight, and you kind of go, so has he got a
tough watch at the moment, man.
Richarlison's on that. So nobody knows what's happening. But the biggest thing is that attacking play. Are we getting the ball? Are we controlling that game and then getting the ball through midfield up to our attackers for them to express themselves and play their way into confidence? We don't, because we're snapping at things. We're snapping at everything.
Ricky, also as well, right? See if you're going to be a team that's going to be hard to break down. And I think Jörn Neville mentioned this on the Arsenal game on commentary. And just from like thinking back to the Jose Mourinho days and the Antonio Conte days, most of the time when we won the ball back, we were a threat in the transition. At the minute, we do not look like a threat on the transition. We won the ball back and it ends up back to goalkeeper and he pumps it forward. So we don't really look like when we won the ball back that we can actually penetrate and cause the team problems. So
I remember three moments, guys, where Kudus done it, Kolo Muani done it, and I want to say it was Johnson that done it, right? That at one point on either side, on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, and one point slightly in the channel on the right-hand side, but mostly up front, where they got the ball individually at moments, and they just ran until they ran into trouble. There wasn't no option for them.
Nothing to pass.
We had three players that felt that they had to do it by themselves to create something. So much so, give evidence to Bergvall that felt that he had to do it by himself, but he made more things click in that moment tonight. But there was a time where Kudus picked it up, and he done it maybe 2 or 3 times where there was nothing on for him, so he's like, right, I'm just going to keep running, and lose the battle out to Dan Burn. Johnson done it on that side. Kolo Muani done it where they doubled up on him. You know, Liverman, I can't remember who it was now, but they doubled up on him, and he just kept running until they, eventually got the ball and then turned it over. But it showed me 3 times that they ran into trouble, and then Bergvall, who was making things happen, they felt that they had to do it by themselves. They felt that they had to do it by themselves. They didn't they didn't trust that what game plan and a 1-2 pass and a triangle and a rondo or a ball over the top. They didn't trust that to happen. They felt that they had to do it by themselves.
So Ricky, are you in the same camp as me that you think that, yes, we can improve with better recruitment? Of course we can. We know we need players in certain positions, of course. But are you putting this down to more of a coaching problem than it is a squad problem? Do you think there's still players in this squad that can be better than what they're showing?
Yeah, massively. Yes, agreed. I do think that there's players in this squad that they can do far better, but I do think it is down to the tactics and the game plan that is being set out there. And the way that I came to that conclusion, Gareth, normally I judge my manager after 10 Premier League games, right? Premier League games. I normally have an idea of where I'm going to go with this manager. After 10 Premier League games with Frank, I didn't know where I was going to go. It was after Chelsea. When I saw that Chelsea game, I said, come on. I said, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? Because we didn't go out there. After saying that we're not going to go out there for a 0-0, we went out there and we didn't do a thing. We got absolutely embarrassed. You know, we couldn't put up a fight. We didn't do absolutely nothing. We looked like strangers. Then I thought, okay, cool. Maybe that's a blip. Like I say, you're going to go back. You're going to analyze. You're going to reassess. You're going to learn the lessons. You're going to come back. You're going to do it again. When it came down to the Gooners, Gareth, right? The reason that not only are they the rivals, right? But there was a lot riding on that, especially after Chelsea. Yes, we had Copenhagen in the middle, which was a good win. But you're coming up against the Gooners, which to me, I'm going, okay, cool. This is almost like if you was in the final against Barcelona or Real Madrid in the Champions League final, this is all right, you might be underdogs, whatever the case may be, but this is going to be your game plan. And the game plan that was set out against the Gooners was horrific, my friend, because they didn't know what to do when they did get the ball. And as soon as the first idea, which was to frustrate them, time waste, and keep a 0-0, which was today's game plan too, keep a 0-0 up to half time. Once that went out the window, we didn't know what to do. And there wasn't no pattern of play. There wasn't no way to break out. There wasn't no wing backs inverting. There wasn't no pressing from up top. And when it did happen, Richarlison scored a goal. But that beyond the point. That was we knew we was never getting back into that game because of the style of play, my friend. And when I see a manager put out their best foot forward and concede from the beginning and go, well, they're so great that we're never going to win, I can't deal with that. And I have to dream with my team. I have to look at my team because I do believe in all of them and I want the best for all of them. As soon as you wear a cockerel on your chest, I want the best for you. And I want to back you through thick and thin and call out all the best things about your game. But when I see somebody go into a fight and go, well, you know what? I'm a bit of a lightweight going up against a heavyweight. This ain't Rocky. This ain't Hollywood. Not going to happen. So we might as well just see if we can last 12 rounds.
Ricky, you're spot on. And Craig, just to get Craig back, Craig, I honestly think there's no one in the chat that could disagree with that. Monaco, if it was a boxing match, would have been stopped. Arsenal boxing match would have been stopped. Chelsea boxing match would have been stopped. Bodo Glimt boxing match would have been stopped. It's hard to disagree, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Just a very quick super chat here, Gary.
I don't know who Billy is.
I've never watched Coronation Street,
no,
so
have any of you two?
I haven't. No, I'm more of an EastEnders man myself. You know, I haven't watched it for years.
That, I was like, I'm going to have to Google him afterwards.
We'll have to. Everybody look up Gary in Coronation Street because
Billy.
I couldn't tell you if he does or he doesn't. Right, we're going to have to move it along a bit here because we're a bit behind what I'd hoped. But,
sorry, it was
as usual.
I did get a warning.
Yellow card.
Yeah.
I
knew it.
Right, Gary, let's come on to this very quickly. Romero's goal. Talk us through this one. I thought this was a fantastic header and a good cross from Kudus.
Absolutely brilliant header. We know he's got that in his locker. He just literally like Superman in the air, bang. I always love a Romero goal, mate. It was absolutely perfect. And you know, I think deserved. I think we went one down and we did look like we had a bit about us. And I was very, very happy with that. At that point, I was thinking to myself, do you know what? 1-1. This is better than what I expected. Can we maybe go on and win this game? You know, it wasn't meant to be, but I thought it was a great bit of play and a lovely header, man. And listen, say what you want about Romero. I know sometimes he goes missing. He does silly sort of passes here and there, but I mean, he scored 2 great goals tonight. So you got to give him that. Great header, great play. Everything about it was perfect. I was well happy, mate.
Really good performance by him, wasn't it?
It was a proper captain's performance. He did a moment of petulance when he got booked. I'm not quite sure what he was doing with that tackle.
No, but that's it, isn't it?
And it is Romero. You're going to get that, you know. But I was just hoping he didn't get a second yellow. But obviously, it was weird that he was up there. Actually, still up front. It was like he was taking responsibility, which is what you want to see from
Thomas Frank wasn't happy.
No, that's right. Yeah. Well, 77th minute, just before that goal, actually, Javi, Richarlison, and Tell came on for Johnson, Bergvall, and Maloney, as I said, and then Romero scored. 84th minute. Gary, I'll stay with you for this because I know you're dying to talk about it. The 84th minute, Bentancur. This VAR decision, Bentancur deemed to foul Dearman and a penalty is awarded, which Gordon scores from. What did you make of this? I know your feelings, but go for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is everything what's wrong with football now. This is why you can't enjoy a game when you're at the game or when you're watching it on TV. I've never seen such a ridiculous decision. Like, at best, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Dearman has got his arm around Bentancur's neck and they go down. Bentancur is looking the other way. I don't understand where VAR look at that and think, hang on a sec, we need to tell the ref to go to the screen. There's no part of that which is a penalty. Nothing. There's nothing whatsoever. And, you know, I said this before we went on air. Even when the ref goes over to the screen, I'm still thinking he's just going to say no pen. And I know the majority of the time, you know, when they're told to go over to the screen, they normally change their decision. But I just generally thought it just can't be a penalty. I just did not think he would give a penalty for it. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? I know it wasn't a great performance tonight, and you know, and we can say Frank's not setting us up right, and the players are low in confidence. But if we had have lost that game tonight for that VAR decision, that would have been fucking scandalous, because that decision is fucking disgusting. And tomorrow, mate, you'll see it yourself on Sky when it goes to Ref Watch. I'm telling you, you click this now. 95% are going to say no penalty to that. So how on earth can Stockley Park say to the ref, go to that screen, and then him look at that screen more than once and walk away and then get on the microphone and give a penalty is just, it's beyond me, mate. Good job I'm not a footballer, because I'd be sent off with that, because I would just lose my head, because I was losing my head in the house. And you got to think about them Tottenham fans, them away fans. Some of them have travelled 6, 7, 8 hours, some maybe even longer. And they could have been going home to a defeat on that decision. It's one thing, mate, when you're in your nice, warm, cozy house with your, really expensive central heating on, and you're having a cup of tea or beer or whatever. But you think about them away fans that have travelled all the way up there and could have been going home to a fucking defeat with that shit. That is an absolute fucking joke. And I think that's probably one of the worst penalty decisions I've ever seen. And
Rio Ferdinand, Gary, says that the official should be removed after that game, the VAR. Rio Ferdinand tweeted.
Yes, it's a joke. Listen, when I tell you 95%, it might even be more. Anyone and everyone is going to say it's not a penalty. So how on earth does Stockley Park sit in that room? I mean, they're only a mile down from that. There's been a few times I wanted to put my motor through the fucking front doors, because decisions like that, they're a mile from my house. I think to myself, who is getting paid these big wages to be sitting in that room looking at it and say, oh, hang on, Paul, here, Peter, have a look at this. Do you reckon we should stop the game and call the ref over to the screen? Because look, if you have I know Dan Burns got Betancourt in a headlock and he's dragging him down, but do you think maybe if we say to the ref, go over to the screen, he might maybe give a penalty and get a bit confused? Absolute fucking joke, mate. What a fucking embarrassment to the Premier League and to the poor away fans that have gone up there. It's a fucking disgrace, mate. A disgrace.
The biggest joke is that the next 5 times it happens to us, it won't get called, my friend.
No.
Let me just tell you that now.
Definitely won't. And you know what? I'd go as far to say, right, if Moreira didn't score that overhead kick, we probably wouldn't have got a penalty for that one that happened before. They probably wouldn't have given us it. I think
he said in commentaries, because it was Richarlison, and I think it was Carragher said, because that was Richarlison just after that, that's why he didn't get it, because he's known for going down pretty easily, isn't he? But anyway, Gordon scored from the spot for that, so it's 2-1 to Newcastle. He looked like the game slipping away. Odegaard and Gray came on for Kudus and Sarr right near the end, and then the 95th minute came around to you, Gareth. Somehow, Romero is up there again and scores an overhead kick. It's got to be the slowest overhead kick I've ever seen, but I'll take it every day of the week. Talk us through this, goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy ending to the game when you think about the first goal went on the 71st, 72nd minute, and the last 20 minutes was kind of crazy. But as you said, Craig, it kind of happened in slow motion, and you were like, you seen him going up for the overhead, and you were like, oh my god. And as you says, that there was not really a lot of piss on the ball, but it's found its way in.
A lot of what on the ball?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what you use the urinal for, Gareth, man.
A lot of what on the ball? Oh,
not a lot of piss.
Sorry.
Not a lot of piss. It's my accent.
Craig?
I thought there was a euphemism or something. No, carry on.
No. There wasn't a lot of pace on the ball. And it went its way in. Look, we're happy out. A brilliant point. I mean, the first time I seen it go on, I thought, oh my god, this could be rivaling Van de Ven for the Puskas next year. But when I seen it back, he obviously shinned it. But it was a frantic last couple of minutes, as the boys pointed out. There was the incident with, I think it was Sharon Richarlison. They kind of looked at her for 30 seconds, and then there was the corner, as you says. I think Jamie McGuinness is in commentary that if it wasn't a goal, would they have went back for the penalty because it looked more of a penalty on Richarlison. Sorry, it wasn't Richarlison. Sorry, it was Bentancur.
No, it was the other one in the box, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bentancur on the second occasion.
Yeah, that was a penalty. More than
that one was a penalty. But getting back to the 2-1, the penalty, Craig, Howard Webb is pretty consistent on this, on the shows he was on. Clear and obvious. There's nothing clear and obvious about that penalty.
No.
So I'm expecting Howard Webb to double down on that and go, what the officials should never have got involved. And Rio Ferdinand has no Spurs
and the ref
connection.
didn't give it on the pitch. He didn't say penalty, did
Rio Ferdinand is saying heads have to roll for that decision because it's a shocking decision.
I hope they really look at it.
Yeah, but Craig, it's still not an excuse for the performance.
No.
We can't be caught up in that. We can't be caught up in that.
No, definitely not. You're right, Gareth.
No,
you're right.
That is spot on. Yeah. Right. Well, before we come on to the Brentford game, don't forget you can order current and retro shirts on the website. We're at the website okjersey.com and use the code Chris to get an 8% discount. The QR code is in the top left-hand corner and the link is in the description. Sorry, it's getting late. I can't talk. Yeah. Right. So I'm just going to play.
It's because you had a lot of Pierce on that sentence. There.
Yeah, that's what it was, isn't it?
Not a Pierce. Yeah. Right. I'm just going to play.
Loads of piss on that.
Loads of Pierce.
That's all over it.
Right. I'm just going to play.
Piss for overhead kick.
It was, yeah. He was taking the out of Ramirez's celebration. Right, before we come on to discuss the Brentford game for the last segment of the show, just going to play you Thomas Frank's post-game presser. It's 4 minutes long.
Alan, do you want to start off?
Thomas, do you expect Christian Romero to be your striker tonight? Scored 2 goals, and especially one like that.
I think that was the perfect bicycle king hit with the shin. Aiming for the bottom corner. I think let's start praising Kuti. I think he deserved that. Overall, at top performance, defending on the ball, coolness, calmness, duels, and then get up there and score 2 goals. And I think the bicycle kick will will most likely get a little bit more praise. But I think the header is more exceptional. The way he does that is better than many strikers. That said, I think I really like the character and the mentality in the team. What they showed after 3 tough games. I think it's been to go here to the 4th game in 10 days, the 3rd away game, a very difficult place. Go down 2 times or get behind 2 times and come back. It shows everything about the willingness and the mentality in the team. And also the second one is very disappointing to concede, because I think for me it's never a penalty. Even speaking to some from Newcastle, don't think it's a penalty. And we need the consistency, because that a penalty that will be given 2 times a game. And I actually think the referees say it's a referee call on the pitch, and he nailed it. And VAR can only be if it's clear and obvious. But I want to speak about us and the mentality coming back, and a great point away from home. I'm happy with that. And I think our fans, exceptional, traveling 3,000 up here, the way they support us throughout the game, singing, and also heard them singing and praising Vic throughout the game. You know, that's togetherness.
How much does that mean to you to kind of hear them sing as well?
You could hear them here, and it's not a difficult place to come as a away fan and be loud enough so we can hear them. So they put so much effort into it. Matched the effort from the team, and that togetherness, drove us forward and it gave us a more than well-deserved point.
Okay. Given that the team's been in a difficult run recently, it makes such a difference to have that kind of individual leadership, individual heroism from Romero.
Yeah, we of course, I think we can set everything nice tactically up and good principles and all that, and try to do it. But I think, and that's the foundation, and that hopefully we can make a great team. but sometimes it's decisive actions from key players, and Kuti definitely did that today.
Okay, thank you.
So you say,
Yeah.
Can you go on about how important it was for the team to show that spirit today after everything you've been through the last 10 days?
Yeah, well, I think it's hugely important. I think the PSG performance were good. I think the team gave everything against Fulham. It was just a nightmare game in some ways, because we're down 2-0 after 6 minutes, and then keep going and then also get something out of it. But that's the only way forward. We know that. If you're in a tough run, there's only one way. That is to work hard and keep going. And the team did that very well today.
I'll just double check on Destiny at the end. Seems to be limping a little bit. Is he okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I haven't heard anything. Yeah. Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a shorter presser there from Thomas Frank. Ricky, just very quickly on Thomas Frank there. He obviously commented on the VAR decision, and he seems to think that was a bad decision. Do you want to have your say on VAR before we move on to Brentford?
No, I totally agree with what the gents have already said, and what Rio said, and what you've said, Craig, about VAR. It's just, you know what, there's so many that go against us that I just never expect it to go for us at times, so sometimes it doesn't hit me as hard because I almost expect it. The same way that Gaz was thinking that he's never going to rule it a penalty, part of me was like, he's going to do it, innit? He's going to do it, innit? And he ended up doing it. So, I agree with him. It's never a clear and obvious foul penalty. So VAR shouldn't have really intervened, but this is where we're at. What I'm more impressed about is that they mentioned Romero. And, Romero needed that performance tonight, and we needed that from Romero as a captain tonight. After a couple of defeats recently, we're used to our captain coming out and saying something, and he hasn't, and he's got criticised for that. But sometimes I think he gets really angry about it. And what he ends up doing is what we all want him to do, and what we want every single player to do, which is, rather than say it in a tweet, he ends up doing it on the field. And he done it tonight on the field. And I think that we should all, not forget that, one, he's had a phenomenal performance tonight. 2 goals, yes, he got a yellow, but he was there at the back. He was everywhere. Do you know what I mean? To try and make something happen tonight. So you give him a big clap as a captain, and you go, all right, and cool. At least somebody, stood up tonight and made something happen. So give him his plaudits. And the same for Vicario. Yes, he's conceded another 2 goals today, but stood up many a time tonight, and to praise. I mean, I know he's trying to get the fans back on side, but at the same time, it's true to praise the fans that were backing their goalkeeper, and that's what we want. We want to back you. The fans don't want to mock you. They mock you when we see foolishness and continued foolishness, and it's the only way that they can get that message across. And sometimes it's been in bad bad timing. The Sanchez one. There's been many, and nobody wants to. None of us, no supporter wants to be to boo their own player. Not one of us. I don't care, But sometimes we feel that way and have to express that way. It was great that he gave some of the love back to the fans tonight for supporting Vic, and it was great that he gave credit to Romero, who had a captain's performance tonight. That's the big things that I took from that press conference, bro.
Thanks, Ricky. Well, it's Brentford up next for Spurs. As I say, 3 p.m. kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday. It's a must-win for Spurs, I have to say, in my opinion. At home, Spurs have won 3 games against Brentford. Brentford have won 1. Spurs won last season's encounter 3-1. The top scorer in this fixture at home is Brian Mbumo with 3 goals. Overall in the Premier League, Spurs have won 4 times, Brentford once, and 3 draws. So, Ricky, just staying with you, how do you see this game going? Is it a must-win? And give me a score prediction.
It's absolutely. All of the games are a must-win right now, especially after the last couple of weeks. So I think every game is going to have the pressure on it, and they're going to have to build on every positive performance and start showing us what they're about. We want to back you, Frank. We want to back our manager. We want to back our team. We want to back our players, and we want to support you through thick and thin. But we need to see it. So, okay, we saw some character tonight. Okay, but we've been here before in this season where we saw character at Copenhagen, and then we got the Gooners. Do you know what I mean? So let's build on this. Let's continue to kind of those that are stepping up, like Bergvall, like Sarr, those that are like Romero. Let's start building on these positive traits that we do have, but we need to see. We need, like Gareth said earlier there, we need to see a Thomas Frank performance where we can hang our hat on it, where I can go, that's who we are, that's who we're trying to be, that's where we're going with this type of football, and this is how we're going to win games. We still need that from Frank and these boys. And these boys, yes, there's a lot of new players, but there's chances to be new heroes right now, especially in the time of adversity, especially in the time when things ain't going your way. This is the moment where heroes stand up. This is where, the new idols and the ones that kids go and buy the shirts. It's at these moments right now. One of the reasons Janola's one of my favorite players, because I remember when we got to December, we was always in dire straits, but that guy would turn up every single time in December and make something happen and do it with a smile on his face, even though we're 12th or 13th. Do you know what I mean? So we need those type of things to start happening right now, so to inspire us and to give us faith to continue on this project going forward. It's not just about the result. Yes, it is. It is, of course, it is. But it's not just about that. We need a Thomas Frank performance where we can go, that's what we're backing. That's what we're giving time to. That's why we're patient. It's for this. So I hope that he gets that. My prediction, against Brentford, I'm going to go 2-1 Tottenham. I never back them to lose. Can't do it. We'll never do it. So I'll go 2-1 Tottenham. And I will go Colo to score.
Okay, mate. Thanks, Ricky. Gary, same to you. What do you expect Saturday in score prediction?
I was predicting 2 defeats, but I can't after tonight and getting a draw like the way we did when we was just so unfairly done by that pen. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be an amazing performance, but I think I'm gonna go 3-1 Spurs. And before tonight, I genuinely thought we'd lose both games, but I wouldn't say I've seen enough tonight for us to have a convincing performance on Saturday. But I don't know. I just have a good feeling now. I think. Do you know what? The last few seasons going up to Newcastle, man, we've lost every single time. So I know it's not been great football. I know it's not the result we all wanted, but we've come away from there with a point. We've gone behind twice. We've come back. It's not a bad result on the road, man, up there. You know what I mean? On a Tuesday night when it's miserable. So I'm going to say we're going to beat Brentford 3-1 on Saturday.
Okay, mate. Thank you very much. And finally, Gareth, what's your score prediction?
I tell you what, it's a fascinating encounter, isn't it? It's Thomas Frank against Brentford.
Yeah.
Brentford would have been struggling away from home. They've seen Fulham go and 1 away from home for the first time at Spurs. Wolves only away point at Spurs. So Brentford will take confidence from that. Of course, there's a Thomas Frank derby in there. That'll add to it. And I think it'll be a very, very nervy game. It'll be interesting to see the team selection. It'll be interesting to see how the fans are before kickoff. And I think Spurs owe it to the fans. And I think it's really important that Thomas Frank, whatever team he picks, it's an aggressive team selection. It's a team selection that's going to get the fans from the first minute on side, creating chances early on and trying to get a foothold into the game. I think the longer it stays 0-0, I think the Fulham game, even though it was a bad one, it's unlikely we'll be 2-0 down for 6 minutes. I was reading it's the quickest we've ever been down 2-0 at home in the Premier League.
Yeah,
so that's unlikely to happen again, but we can't start lethargic. We've got to go for it from the off. And Craig, I keep saying this every week when me and Chris do the predictions, especially when we play at home. It's the biggest game of Thomas Frank's Spurs career, and it feels again that we're back to this scenario. So, look, I'm praying for a 1. And my gut instinct tells me we'll find a way to win this 2-1.
Okay, thanks, Gareth. Well, thanks everyone. It's quite late now, so I'll let you go and I would say enjoy the rest of your evening. But you're probably most of you slipping off to bed if you're certainly in England, or if you're listening to this in the car on the way back from Newcastle. Fair play to you for going up there and making that long journey.
Well done, lads.
We did hear you tonight on the telly.
Great away support, wasn't it? Brilliant.
It's always great away support. Ricky, thanks so much for coming back and being on the show again. Where can people find you and what you're up to?
You guys know where you can find me. You can find me at Ricky J Norwood on X and official Ricky Norwood on Instagram. You can also find me at T-Talk and Tottenham on Instagram as well, which is every 2 weeks, myself and Darren Hart, we record our podcast and we look back at what's just happened. So it's not just after one result, it's after a few results to see if we're making any progress. Episode 5 is out right now. We've just recorded episode 6. So maybe end of the week it should be out, but I'll keep you informed. And then I'm keeping busy, bro. I'm presenting, I'm doing gigs up and down the country at the minute, and just I'll start dropping them on the Instagram and let everybody know through that. But yeah, man, keeping really busy, and I will be back with you probably on Saturday, Craig, after Brentford. So let's see, man. Let's see. Let's hope for a big result and a big performance and a big 3 points. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. But until then, let's keep going, Tottenham. Let's keep going.
I'm not here on Saturday, so I think I'm back for the next game after that. So yeah, have a good one Saturday. Thanks, Ricky. Gary, thanks a lot for coming back on. Where can people find you?
No, always a pleasure, Craig. Yeah, listen, I'm just glad it didn't end in defeat, because I would have been a lot more swearing and anger. You got my voice note in the group a few minutes before the game ended. I was absolutely. I'm still raging about VAR, you know that, but it would have been a lot worse if we lost. But no, listen, look, I love coming on here. If anything else, it's therapy, man. Just want to say a big shout out to Chris Cowden and all the away fans, because I Googled that on the old Waze app tonight. And for me, any time I would have left, it would have been around 4.5 hours. So I know some of them guys, won't be back until early hours. Some will stay over. And the cost and the amount of time when you've got to juggle work and everything else. So for them especially, I'm really, really glad we didn't lose tonight, because honestly, going into that, I just couldn't see anything but a defeat. So, they're bigger fans than what I am tonight, and I take my hat off to them. Fair play to them. But yeah, listen, look, I'm always jumping on Instagram, Gary Maloney 13, Facebook's Gary Maloney. And work-wise, mate, you know my work. I'm here, there, and everywhere. I'm on the stage. I'm putting new things in my acts, and I'm just grateful and blessed that I'm still out there performing. I'm doing Dream Boys London. I'm in Brighton. I'm doing shows. I'm all over the place, and I'm absolutely loving life. So as long as I can still smile and dance and kind of swing around a pole, I'm going to keep doing it.
Excellent. Well, you're only 37, Gary.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying to people. Got another 10 years at least.
Thanks, Gary. And Gareth, finally, thanks for coming back on. Where can people find you?
No, that's good. And for most people, they won't recognise Gary with his clothes on, I suppose. So they might not recognise Gary when they add him, but no. Look, just to back up what Gary says there, brilliant away support. I was actually up at Newcastle away in the cup, and it was cold, very, very cold at Halloween up there. So I can only imagine how cold the fans were tonight, and fair play to them for keeping going. I'll be back on here on this channel on Friday doing week predictions for weekend 14 as me and Chris do every week. So we'll be talking about all the games. So if you want your Premier League preview, we'll be back on here. I'm also back on for the Slavia Prague game, Craig. I'm assuming that's the one you're on about, that you're on next.
Yes, I think so. Yes,
see you for that. And of course, if you want to give me a follow on Twitter or X, as you call it now, at Gareth Hotspur, you can work away. But thanks for having me on, Craig, and brilliant as always when you're on for Chris.
Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Well, we earned a draw tonight. Spurs managed to get a point and bring a point back down the motorway to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A rare actual point, because we've not done particularly well there in recent seasons. But stop the rot. Let's hope we can go on at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday against Brentford and get all 3 points. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. It's a late hour, so I'll let you go now. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on.